The story of the witches of Peebles in the Scottish borders begins with James VI. He was fixated by sorcery, and when he became king, the Great Witch Hunt began. He had the full backing of the Kirk, which wanted to eradicate the old traditional ways and beliefs. Many of those accused were folk healers, midwives, or simply people their neighbours didn't like. In Peebles in the 17th century, like elsewhere in the country, witch hunts got underway and would last 50 years. In the spring of 1629, the locals in Peebles began noticing something odd. Certain townsfolk would hurry past them without acknowledging them. What was more suspicious was that Marion Boyd, Janet Henderson and Gilbert Hogg missed church 2 Sundays in a row, claiming they were ill, but they were spotted on a drove road. What added to suspicion was that they didn't look at all unwell. Gossiping began in the town. The previous winter, a sickness had swept through Peebles, but Bessie Ure and Margaret Gowanlock, who tended the sick, never fell ill themselves, even though a couple of their charges had died. Why had they not become ill? William Thompson's neighbours remembered a quarrel, then a horse went lame. The finger was pointed at least 3 locals, Marion Crozier or Crozier, Margaret Dixon and Gilbert Hogg, who all left the town following some serious accusations. Something was afoot, and the locals became agitated. As a result, the local presbytery decided to call a meeting and discuss the situation. By the end of it, 27 people from Peebles and the surrounding villages had been accused of witchcraft. The presbytery wrote to the Privy Council in Edinburgh to ask for permission to set up a commission to search for, apprehend, arrest and interrogate those accused. The 27 were named as Janet Aitchison, Catherine Alexander, midwife Helen Beattie, Marion Boyd, Catherine Brown, Agnes Chalmers, Marion Crosser or Crozier, Margaret Dixon, Susanna Elphinston, Margaret Yerskin or Erskine, Margaret Gowanlock, John Graham, a weaver known as Joke the Graham, Isabel Haddock, Janet Henderson, Gilbert Hogg, Margaret Johnson, Marie Johnson, Patrick Linton, William Matheson, Catherine Marshall, Agnes Robeson, Thomas Stoddart, Agnes Thompson, William Thompson, Bessie Ure, Jean Watson and Catherine Wold. All of the names were made public, with most of the accused fleeing, as fear gripped the town. Sunday church services had never been so well attended. All those who fled were quickly apprehended and held in the toll booth, a large structure built at the bottom of Bridgegate by the Eddleston Water, but when it reached capacity, the rest were held in the kirk. They were charged with meeting for nefarious purposes, had made a pact with the devil whilst denouncing their baptism, frolicking with him, and that they'd laid sickness on their neighbours, killing a number of them. All of the accused denied the charges. Archibald Sid, the minister of Peebles, was horrified that his parish could hold so many sorcerers, and interrogations got underway. The prisoners were sleep-deprived, and the first person to crack was young Isabel Haddock from West Linton. She agreed that she'd been at a meeting on Tor Hill, had seen the devil, and she knew the others who were there. She then named them, and the whole thing snowballed, with everyone else breaking down. Some described the devil, while others told of what his dark majesty promised them. The baillie sent his men into the town to hear what the townsfolk could tell them. Half said they'd seen Marion Boyd and Catherine Woad hurrying towards Tor Hill, while others spoke of Patrick Linton yawning during the mornings, when he should have had a good night's sleep. Some claimed they suspected for years that some of the accused had been involved in witchcraft. The other half, who knew the prisoners, said it was all nonsense. By the end of their investigations, a trial date was set for Thursday 11th June 1629 in the town's toll booth. It was packed. The jury was made up of respectable townsmen, with the Kirkelders sitting at one table, Bible in full view, prosecutors at another, and the town clerk at a third table. Stools had been arranged in front of these tables, but there weren't enough, so some of the accused had to sit on the floor. The long list of charges was read out, but not one of the prisoners was defended. Witnesses were called, and after just a few minutes of deliberation, the jury gave their verdict on them and handed a piece of paper to the minister. This all took place in less than a day. The minister read out 24 names of those found guilty. The jury found the cases against Susanna Elphinston, John Graham and Margaret Johnson not proven, but the minister, unhappy at their decision, returned them all into the care of the bailie's men until further investigations were carried out. The other 24 then had the death sentence passed on them. On Tuesday, 16th June, the 24 were led barefoot to Calf now known as Venlaw Hill, where they were strangled, but not outright killed, then placed in tar barrels, which were then lit. The 3 who'd been held in custody following the not proven verdict were retried on Tuesday 22nd December in front of the same jury. Sid condemned them as witches, and it's believed that due to pressure put on the jury, all 3 were condemned to death. By this time, they were emaciated and dirty, and their mental state was worse than poor. They were strangled and burned on 24th December 1629, the minister leading his devout followers to the spot of their deaths later that evening for the Christmas Eve midnight service. Sid's place in Border's history was secure, but for all the wrong reasons. In the later 17th century, between 1644 and 1679, another 10 locals would be accused of witchcraft, with Jonet Coates being the only one executed following her trial in 1649. In all, 41 executions for witchcraft took place in Peebles. The Witchcraft Act of 1563 was repealed in 1736. On Tuesday, 8th March 2022, First Minister Nicola Sturgeon formally apologised to the men and women who died during the witch hunts in Scotland, calling it an injustice on a colossal scale. In October 2022, a memorial was unveiled in Peebles with the names of all 27 victims of the 1629 trial, etched in gold on a blue granite stone. It sits on Tweed Green in the town. If you enjoyed this episode of Scotland's History, please like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, thank you for watching.